Kelly, welcome to Modern People Leader Live at Transform.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thanks for
Excited.
taking out time. There's so many great guests. Today we're in the expo room and there's just a lot to do here. And you've chosen to meet with us for 30 minutes. So we're very grateful for that. So thank
Of
you.
course. Thanks for having me.
So we've switched up the format. Usually these are hour-long conversations, but we're doing like 30 minutes. And so our normal traditions for the listeners, we're sticking with the Transform edition, which the first question is, what's giving you energy right now?
I mean, all these colors, first of all, like even if you're tired, we're in Vegas, like you are wide awake being in this room right now.
Yes.
But I would say it's really just all the connections I've been able to make so far, all the new information or the reaffirming of things that I've been focusing on that I'm hearing that others are as well. There's just so much that I'm super thankful to be here. And I feel like in the day and a half I've already been able to attend, I've learned so much. Excited for day 3.
Me too. And so, is there any session or conversation you've had in particular so far that's jumped out at you that's been super memorable?
Yeah, a few. Yesterday was great. I feel like one of the sessions I sat in on was the inclusive hiring practices. And that was one of the ones where I'm like, okay, I see that other companies in similar growth stages, Calendly, are facing similar situations or programs they're trying to build. And so it was great to be able to relate with other TA leaders, but also hear how they're attempting to take on these new challenges and make sure that their hiring practices are inclusive. One other thing that's super interesting to me is AI. So I sat and watched a presentation of a AI generated content, and it's for full life cycle. But I thought one of the most interesting things was how can we potentially utilize that when it comes to sourcing, making our sourcing efforts more efficient. So I immediately texted my sourcing programs manager and was like, we got to chat. We got to chat. I've got some things to talk to you about. So I think there's a lot of interesting stuff coming up that I'm getting to learn about here.
Have there been any vendors that you've talked to that have a solution where you're like, ooh, this is exciting? Like whether it's AI that you could apply to sourcing or any part of the recruiting life cycle, any exciting tools that you've stumbled upon here?
Yeah, sure. So the one that I watched the presentation, it's called iShield. And I thought that was really interesting that it helps create content, but for onboarding, even offboarding, all different formats and channels that you'd use it for. I watched the GYM presentation. So it's a CRM tool, also has a lot to do with sourcing, but very data driven. So there's been quite a few things that I'm like, all right, I could see how that could potentially fit into our tech stack and make us a more efficient team at Calendly.
So, I think it's safe to say that it's been a challenging time for the talent acquisition space. And I'm curious, how have you guys weathered the storm? In my experience, in difficult times, you have to get back to like the basics, the blocking and the tackling. You got to be super intentional about what you're doing. And so, how has like the current environment changed what you're doing, the work you're doing at Calendly?
Yeah. And I'm sure that's top of mind for anyone in this space. And what's really interesting is my leader, our Chief People Officer, Jeff Diana, actually says that these time periods are some of the most interesting and ones where you can really develop yourself, right? And your teams. And so he's like, lean into that. So in a year where maybe the hiring volume isn't as high as it's been in the past, how can you still utilize your capacity to the fullest? So that's a lot of what we're trying to prioritize right now with the entire team. I'm able to expand their position past just that core recruiting skill set. And we're taking on project work. We're being able to take a look at our processes and figure out, hey, where can we optimize? Where can we take things from manual to automated, right? Make things more efficient and really be able to get things into a great place so that when those hiring floodgates open again, we're ready, and we're ready in a much better way, a more efficient way, more polished way.
We were at a happy hour last night. I think it was the Oyster Happy Hour at Top Golf, and we met somebody named Adam Ward. Am I getting the name right, Stephen? And we were talking about him possibly coming onto the show. And one thing that he likes to talk about is training TA professionals to be business leaders versus, what did he say? I can't remember what he said, but it was exactly your point. Like you want to teach them how to be better business leaders so that when the floodgates do open, we're not falling into the same trap that we've fallen into, repeatedly over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a sense that HR was order takers, right? And even in talent acquisition, it's a, hey, we need to fill this role, go figure it out. And that's not how we operate, because that's not how you are really able to be the most successful. It's a partnership. And how can we help the business? And again, I'm going to call back to my leader, Jeff. He says, like, as HR professionals, you need to know all the things happening within the business's KPIs, right? Don't just be focused on your one department. If you have that true like holistic view, it's what allows you to do your best work, to be able to best support your people so that we can hit our top level goals. But you need to be in the know of them and understand what they are so you can be your best self and your best leader in your role.
When you think about the frenzy is the best word that I can think of the last couple of years, the hiring, because it was a frenzy, a talent frenzy. And you think about, okay, in the future, we could probably do things a little differently, or like here are some cues that I can take away from this last cycle. Is there anything that jumps to mind at like some really important lessons learned, having just exited kind of one cycle and feels like we're entering a new cycle? I'm just curious if you have anything to share there.
Yeah. So if you are in the recruiting space and you haven't heard about candidate experience, you're living under a rock, right? So everyone knows about candidate experience. But I think one of the things that people don't prioritize that makes just as much of an impact and really impacts candidate experience is the hiring partner experience and how you're setting up your internal teams to be successful in their roles in the interview process, right? So recruiters, they can only control so much of what that candidate experience looks like throughout the funnel, right? Because you introduce a hiring manager, you introduce interviewers. And so there's more people that can have impact and potentially negatively impact that candidate experience. Now, I don't think anyone's maliciously doing that, but it's maybe that they just don't have the knowledge. Right. So that's what we are really focused on now as a team is how can we better the hiring partner experience and knowing that that's going to have just ripple effects throughout our entire process. We've created interview training. Some people, it's their first time either being in a hiring manager role, right, where they've elevated from interviewer to decision maker, or even just being a first-time interviewer. So it's going through like mock role plays, right, of like, hey, how do you address this situation? It's covering unconscious bias. It's covering compliance and ethics. It's explaining to them how much candidate experience actually impacts whether or not we end up with a hire, right, and a quality hire. So we're really focused on that. We're also making sure that we're thoughtful about the tech stack that we're using and how that can impact their experience as well. So one of the things that we've implemented is Calendly's advanced recruiting solution Prelude, and it really focuses on making sure that we alleviate interview fatigue, right? That we are having an inclusive hiring panel so that candidates feel like this experience is really the best glimpse into what their team member experience is going to look like.
I'm getting flashbacks to my early days working with Steven at Workify. So I worked with Steven for 5 years and I worked for him straight out of college. And because we were a scrappy startup, we didn't have time to do interview training. And I remember interviewing people for SDR roles and feeling a bit lost. And since then, I've done a ton of interviews. I've been part of a lot of interview panels and I've learned a ton. But what really helped me was whenever I was at Humu, we had formal training on how to conduct these interviews, how to make sure we were eliminating as much bias as possible from the process. So just wanted to plus one that. And then I wanted to ask you, so we're stealing this from Allison Baum-Gates. I don't know if you had a chance to attend the VC panel that she hosted yesterday morning. No. So she did a round called Future or Fad. Okay. And she listed off different things and asked if it was future or fad. I don't have a list out in front of me, okay, but we're going to do like TA edition, future or fad. Right. So what's the future in TA and what's a fad? Something we're talking about right now, but it's not going to be around in 5-10 years.
So I'd say the future is accountability, right? There's so many laws, right, that are being passed that are really candidate favorable, and it's the transparency. That's not going anywhere. It should have been here a long time ago. And I like that it's those type of laws and changes.
So like pay transparency.
Okay. Yes, that is what holds businesses accountable to their words, right? You can be a business that says all the right things when it comes to DE&I, right? And do we have an equitable process? Do we have an equitable company? But then when you have to show that data and be transparent, you could maybe be caught, right? Or you have to hold up true to it. And I think that's something that's really important and should stay. And the fact that it's just becoming, I think, a candidate friendly and I would say candidates aren't willing to bend, right? Even in the tech industry right now, we know that there's been a lot of layoffs, right? And so even those folks who have been impacted, when they're looking for roles, they aren't just willing to take anything, right? They are still prioritizing the things that matter when it comes to their work-life balance, their mental health, the work that they're going to be doing, what fulfills them. I think that's really important and should stay.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, even though there's a surge of talent in the marketplace, their expectations haven't changed in terms of how they want to be engaged in a recruiting process.
Yes, exactly. Wow. I think, there's probably CFOs out there, right, that are like, oh, well, there's so much talent. We don't really need to do those benefits we had to do back then when it was so competitive.
Right.
No, that means you're not prioritizing people, right? One of our values at Calendly is start with human, and we do that from start to finish. And you can't just not do that when it's convenient.
Right.
No.
Yeah. And I love to hear that. And I love that value at Calendly. We've talked a lot the last few months about how the pendulum is swinging back. It was like the pendulum swung in favor of the employees and talent. And now it feels like it's swinging back in the favor of companies and the employer. And so even in the conversations we've had here, like the winners are going to be the companies that are not turning back on the things that they had committed to, the companies that are doubling down on the values and all the things that are most important to the things that talent out there want to see companies doing. Right. And so I think it's so important to stay true to your brand and not unwind the things that you've spent so much time investing in, that you've engaged other employees at the company to be involved in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think that's awesome. What's going to go away?
Oh.
What's the fad?
Yeah. What do y'all think? Like, I don't know. What have other people said? I'm really curious.
So there's some controversial things out there. I think one of the things that came up in the conversation, the panel conversation, was diversity budgets. So this ramp up in diversity budgets, I think the point was, it's not that companies won't be spending money on diversity, equity, inclusion, but that there shouldn't be like a separate budget. Right. And I thought that was a pretty controversial. I think it's real talk. I think companies are actually cutting diversity budgets right now. Personally, I don't know. But it feels like that kind of environment, and some of the warning signs that are out there that I see tell me that that's happening. But I can also see the point of like, shouldn't this all be something a fundamental part of the business? Right. Should it be something separate? And if I just focus on that, like I think there's some validity to it. The contrarian view was, well, if we let it's not just going to organically happen on its own. It would have already happened. And so I see that point also.
Yeah.
No, I was to say, I was surprised that nobody had that point on the panel yesterday. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I mean, to respond to that, like, you have to be intentional. Now, I understand that we're in a place where businesses need to make sure they're able to survive so that the missions and, work that they're doing can continue, but get creative. Don't let that be a reason to stop, right? Like, don't take the easy way out. Like, oh, they slashed my budget. There's plenty of other things you can do. Get creative, think outside the box is definitely how I would respond to that. In terms of fad, I guess, okay, I mentioned this earlier, right? That I'm like, oh, this like AI, like
I was going to take it. You didn't.
Creation of like messaging. I'm like, will candidates be able to see right through that? Are they going to be like, oh my gosh, it's just or like, does that cause distrust because it's not authentic?
Nothing's going to feel genuine.
Yeah, exactly. And how, like, can it be as customized as, someone generating it from their own brain? I don't know, like to be seen. But I think as long as, if it's something you introduce in your process, you make sure that you still have that like very human centric type of mentality, that it doesn't, I think it should allow for hopefully more fair and equitable vetting, but make sure that it's the right way and be super, like, you got to be data driven.
Yeah. So prior to going full time in the podcast in November, I was a marketer for 8.5 years. And everybody in the marketing space is talking about ChatGPT, generative AI, and the people who are using ChatGPT to create their ad copy or to create their LinkedIn post or to write a blog post. I personally can see right through that because it looks like pretty generic. But I think that there are going to be creative use cases for tools like ChatGPT. And what I was going to say is, and I'm just echoing something that someone on the panel said yesterday, ChatGPT is the future and it's a fad. Like, I don't think that we're all going to be sitting here talking about ChatGPT in 10 years, but we're just going to be used to having the ability to interact with AI in the way that ChatGPT allows you to, whether it's for asking for its advice on how to improve a blog post or how to improve a job listing or how to improve the questions that we're already asking in our interview process to make them more remove bias. Like,
Right.
I feel like those are more of the interesting use cases for how we can use AI.
Absolutely. So we actually just implemented Textio. I'm not sure if y'all are familiar, but it is a job description bias tool. So essentially you run your job descriptions and it will call out the areas that are potentially deterring people from applying, right? They're not gender neutral words. You're using more masculine or feminine, that it's not age neutral, right? That maybe you're
Right.
speaking to a certain age group when you should be trying to reach all. So it's a really cool tool. And I think it kind of is the focus that I would hope a ChatGPT or any type of future AI like generated content would do, is the like, how can we make sure that this is inclusive content, right? That engages all of the potential candidates that we want to come into Calendly and not unintentionally deter anyone. So we've implemented for our job descriptions.
Okay.
All of our blog content will be going through this, all of our career site content. We have the LinkedIn extension. So our in-mails will have this filter that the team literally is able to essentially massage the message to make it more inclusive when they're reaching out to candidates. Now, I talked about hiring partner experience. Our hiring managers will be utilizing this as well. And I think the thing that's so cool, it's an education opportunity.
Right.
Over time, they're going to see these changes and these suggestions that Textio is going to provide when they're writing copy, and they're going to learn that. They're going to put it to memory. And then how can they utilize that with their own internal teams when they're having conversations? How can they use that obviously with candidates, but also with customers? I just think it's so far reaching. And if that's the type of path that we'll go down, I think that's the most impactful and the most positive way.
Yeah, my view is that we're not going to be able to stop AI. And I don't know if it's in the form of bots, or I don't know what the interface, the winning interface will be. But when I heard a staggering, I can't remember the numbers, so I'm not even going to make up a number, but a staggering amount of sales email that are being sent out today are all being written by ChatGPT type tools. And so when you think about that, and you think about the way the modern like employee is like thinking about their work, they're trying to do the high admin, low value work as quickly as possible so they can focus on the high, the things that they want to be doing, the things they feel
strategic, high impact.
right. That's where I was looking at, high impact type work. And so I don't know if it's a fear, but isn't it, it feels like it might just be common sense. Like, why wouldn't these tools be used for all of these things we do? And I think the more we think about the things that we do that are high admin, low value, there's a lot. There are people that 100% of their jobs are high admin, low value. And I feel as though that it's just, it almost feels like common sense. Like, why wouldn't we use this? I feel like the difficulty is like, where do we draw the boundaries? Like, where, do we want to do the high impact stuff? Should that be, humans doing that? Should it not? Should we start with AI and then we personalize? There are a lot of open questions, but having seen the progression of the innovative type tools, since I've been through a few cycles now, it feels like this is now a thing, and it's more of a question of how are we going to apply this in the HR space.
Yeah, exactly. Don't shy away from it. Do the research, right? You don't want to be left behind, and then decide for your business and your team and how you operate. How does this make sense and how do we implement it so it's genuine to us and authentic to our values?
100%. Well, thank you so much for joining us. we've been we end every episode with a one word or phrase close, and we've continued that tradition here at Transform. So if there's one word or a phrase that reflects how you feel about this conversation, or maybe it's a sentiment that you have coming out of it, like what's that one word or phrase?
I mean, thought provoking. I love this kind of stuff. This is more than one sentence or phrase.
That's what
I love to just like geek out over this. It's so fun. It's so fun to have these conversations with other people that I know are geeking out just the same. So I love that and appreciate that you guys were willing to have me on and chat through these things.
Thanks for joining us. I'm going to say AI, and I'll just keep it at that, and I'll let Steve.
Yeah, I'm going to say embrace change. I think that you had some really compelling, thoughts on what we should be doing, whether it's change in terms of like economic cycles and us being in a down market, or it's change with AI. Like we should embrace change. So, well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a fabulous conversation.
Enjoyed
Thanks so much.